What radio? The music you want.
With your host, Keys Dan.
I'm afraid you're just too darn loud.
RadioWhat.com. What's up, party people? It's Keys Dan with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live in a living color from the Radio What studios. Well, technically the Radio What vehicle. I'm riding around and I'm doing this intro, and I'm live in a living color. And this is my podcast. It's What Makes You Famous. I love driving around. But yes, I'm parked on the side of the road. I am not podcasting and driving at the same time because that could be dangerous. What Makes You Famous is an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, I encourage you to go to DJLittleRock.com. Check availability, get your free price quote, and maybe you can have little old me, Keys Dan, at your event. You know it's wedding season. We got weddings coming up and behind me. Oh, goodness. Having a good time here in June in Arkansas, Central Arkansas. Shoot, I think I went, would that be considered South Arkansas if I went down all the way down to Camden? Maybe. I was in Hot Springs a couple weeks ago. It was just good times. Weddings. And, of course, karaoke jams. I just did the Rab last night. It's Saturday here in Arkansas. Well, today on the program, I have... Jerry Jarvis of the Alpha One Entertainment. He's a DJ in Pottsville, Arkansas, right close to Russellville, Arkansas. And I've seen lots of pictures of him online, and I've gotten to chat with him briefly. And I've chatted with his wife, Crystal, nice lady, and they're good people. So I figured, hey, I've had other types of people on this podcast. Let's have a couple DJs get in the chit chat and talk on the What Makes You Famous podcast. And I don't know a lot more about him. I know he's got a great setup. His equipment looks top notch. But let's dig a little deeper into Jerry Jarvis. I'm going to go drive on over to the Jarvis estate, the Alpha One studios, and find out more about Jerry Jarvis now. There we go. Jerry Jarvis, Alpha One Entertainment, hanging out here in Pottsville, Arkansas, at your lovely home, the Alpha One Studios as well. You've showed me your equipment, and it's a pretty nice setup. You got the Pioneer rig. You actually have two different controllers, two completely different setups that you showed me out there. The bigger setup for the receptions and the bigger things that you do, and then the smaller system if you have to go for a cocktail hour or even for the ceremony. You have that all set up as well. So you're like a real DJ, man, Mr. Jerry Jarvis.
Well, thank you very much.
So tell me a little bit more. Give me the short bio of Jerry Jarvis and Alpha One Entertainment. I see you have some stuff written down, talking points.
Yeah, a few talking points. I'm a little bit of a creature of habit. I call this my paper brain, so it goes with me everywhere. But I'll give you a short spiel. Been DJ since 1989. Grew up in Illinois. Joined the military right outside the high school there, and was in the Navy for 4 years, and then transitioned over to civilian sector for semiconductor work, basically making the machines that make computer chips. So I lived just north of Boston. Traveled the world as an installer for them for nearly a decade, and about 15 years ago, came down here to work for A&O.
What's A&O?
It's Arkansas Nuclear One. Came out here as a computer technician on their hardware side, transitioned in 2008 to instrumentation and control, and back in 15 had the opportunity to become an instructor. So
you still working for A&O?
Yep, that's my square gig.
That big old Homer Simpson looking thing that's out there in London, Arkansas?
That is correct.
Ah, well done. And so Yeah, you give me a lot to unpack. I actually talked to a Navy man last night. Full disclosure, it was my brother. I've been doing this podcast for a while, and I realized I hadn't talked to my brother, and he's very political, and he's into motorcycles, and he's in the Navy. We talked about a lot about that. What was your job in the Navy?
I was an interior communications specialist.
Communications? Wait a minute. It seems like that kind of parlayed into your civilian life as well.
Absolutely. It played to my strengths. I've been a wire biter, a techie ever since I can recall. Used to frustrate my parents because anytime I'd get a new toy,
yes,
I would play with it for a little while,
right,
and then tear it apart, try to modify it, put it back together.
You said wire biter, and yeah, that's one reason that my teeth are very, very bad is I used to strip the wires with my teeth rather than grabbing the proper clamping tool, the proper wire stripping tool. Is that something that you do?
Used to, not anymore. I've suffered the same issues.
Oh yeah.
You get a little bit of teeth sensitivity, especially after about 30 years of doing it. So you use what's available, but make sure you have the tools with you when you go out.
You're a good man, Jerry Jarvis. Well, you've already introduced me to your child and your wife, and they're running around here somewhere. And there's many, many dogs, so you're an animal lover. That's good.
Yes, love plants, animals, and of course, do-it-yourself type stuff.
Which do-it-yourself type? What is that?
Oh, well, we bought an old home. It was built back in the 30s, and everything from plumbing to electrical to, the aesthetics, painting, you name it. We've done it.
Yeah, it's a big old house, and it's got, exactly what you'd think an old house would have. It's wooden on the outside, and I see archways that are all kind of molded out to, and they're a bit, is that short? Would that be shorter than a normal archway? Because it seems like people have been getting taller, but no, I guess that's about right. I could fit through that pretty well. But I see a lot of good molding. The house has good bones. You've done well, and the yard. Every time I've ever come by here, Jerry Jarvis, Alpha One, I've always seen you out there in the yard, and you're very meticulous. Is that something a part of your pride?
Absolutely. A little bit of a perfectionist or, obsessive compulsive. I don't think it's a disorder, but
no.
That bleeds through every facet of what I do.
Oh, I suspect you're right. Before every event, and yes, it's a couple of DJs just sitting at a kitchen table or a dining room table chit-chatting with each other. Before every event, I'm nervous. I always want the thing to go perfectly. I never want any mess ups. Especially, these are the most important times in people's lives, weddings and anniversaries, and they have certain expectations, and I want to reach and even exceed their expectations. I've seen your pictures from your events, Jerry Jarvis, and I'm impressed, man. I'm impressed.
Thanks, man.
I wanted to give you a chit chat and talk to you a little bit more about how the beginnings of Jerry Jarvis and where you are and where you're heading, where you think you're heading with this endeavor. So you were born when? Where?
Illinois.
Yeah. When?
When was I born?
Yes.
Well, that's an excellent question. I was born in 1975.
Yes, I was born in '69. I'm 50 years old. You're just a whippersnapper, youngin'.
Thank you.
and folks, he's in good shape, so he's out there. I see, you, like I said, you're always in the yard. Whenever I see you working out there, and so born in '75. Where?
Illinois.
Illinois, and you grew up there. You went to school in Illinois.
That's correct.
And your parents, what did they do?
My parents both worked. I was quintessential Gen X kid, latchkey kid.
Gotcha.
My dad, he worked maintenance for the local manufacturing there in the area outside of Chicago, and my mom was office staff. And
you said they worked together in the same kind of?
They didn't work in the same company, but
they
were pretty much, Dad was out by 5 in the morning, Mom by 7. They were both back by 5, so
good. You got to spend at least the evenings with them, and good upbringing.
Absolutely, yeah. They always made it a point to make sure that everybody was down at the dinner table when it comes for supper time.
I like that, man. That's a good old-fashioned family right there, having dinner together. It seems like people don't do that anymore. That's the June Cleaver and the Leave It to Beaver family, I guess, is mom and dad had to work. Mom in Leave It to Beaver didn't really have to work outside the house, but in these days, a lot of times you do need two incomes. And that seemed to be what happened. So they worked. They provided for you. Any brothers and sisters?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
4 of each, but really my closest one was 3 years older, my sister Michelle, so she's like the one that I kind of grew up with.
Okay, so you had siblings that were spread out in ages?
Yes.
How did that happen?
Well, I think you probably know.
No, well, I mean, just how... You get some that are much, much older and much, much younger?
Actually, I'm the baby of the family.
Hey, Jerry Jarvis, baby of the family.
That's right. So by the time I came around, it was pretty much, fending for myself, kind of learn from the older guy, folks and stuff.
But, yeah, a lot of hand-me-downs?
Totally. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I was the oldest in my family. I only had the one brother, and then I had a stepsister, and then I had a half brother that went off with my dad, and I never really knew him too well. But my brother was the one I talked to yesterday, and latchkey kids. You're talking? Yes, we had the 2-income family as well. So we spent a lot of time alone, fending for ourselves, and that teaches you how to be self-sufficient and self-serving, and you seems like you turned out pretty well, Jerry Jarvis.
Well, thank you.
You got a nice home. You got some good kids here running around. They're actually poking their heads in, seeing what's going on. How does this podcast thing? How does it work? Well, it's just a radio show that you get recorded, and people listen to it on their own time. And you'll probably listen to this a little bit later. You'll go, wait, I was there. I heard the whole thing. But I'll listen to it again, won't you? All right. So you spent your early days, and you're going to learn more about your dad, kids, if you listen to this podcast, because we're going to dig a little bit. Not too much. Anything he doesn't want to reveal, he doesn't have to. But you're born in what part of Ohio? Illinois, sorry.
Outside of Chicago.
Outside of Chicago. So when you grew up, what was your extracurricular activities in school? What kind of things you like to do?
Well, in school, I like to play sports. I had a real good curricula there where we could play. I did basketball, track, played in the band, of course. I was a band geek.
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah. What's your instrument?
Trumpet.
Trumpet. Man, I've talked to some trumpet players. I've talked to trumpet players that turn into guitar players for some reason. So do you still play trumpet?
Not like I used to.
Oh, lost it. Okay. All right. And then any other extracurriculars besides band and all that?
Just a few other things, but when I got into high school, that's when I really started with going for DJing.
Yeah.
Started out probably like a lot of guys did, doing free gigs for the school.
Oh, yeah.
And then house parties. And so that pretty much ate up my extra time.
Oh, yeah. I was the high school DJ myself. Belial from House Party. I would be that guy. Hey,
right on.
You going to help me carry my records?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, we're going to help you. Nope. I'm dragging them all myself. Got my radio flyer wagon with my crate full of whatever, and probably one turntable on the first few gigs that I did, and just a box full of records, man. Just a crate from Peaches Records. That was, or Tower Records. I think I had one of those crates as well. But so you're the school DJ. What was the first gig that you remember playing in high school?
Oh, wow. It was basically a freshman fall dance. At our school, we had dances regularly. And it started back in like the 4th grade.
Yeah.
So it was great, and that's really what inspired me was the band teacher that we had. He was also the DJ for the school dances.
Cool.
And I got in nice with him, and he also played the trumpet, which inspired me to play the trumpet as well.
Yeah.
So, the first one I did was my own freshman class. We had a fall get-together, and it was in the cafeteria of our school.
Big one. All right. Yeah, I did house parties. I didn't play the school dances. But what kind of gear did you have in ninth grade?
Well, my own gear, I pretty much had one turntable. I had a dual cassette player.
Oh, yeah.
And I had a fresh CD player.
Oh, yeah.
But the PA was...
Wait a minute. This is the 80s?
Yeah.
You had a CD player? Those things were like $1,000.
And the CDs for them were like $20 a pop.
Yeah, I had one in '86 in my car, and people thought, "Wow, were you rich?"
Yeah, space age. And that, don't get me wrong, it was not, brand spanking new. It was
no.
Also a hand-me-down
Every
stuff.
bump I hit, the CD would skip.
Yeah.
I think it had one laser, and they came out with the 3-laser one the next year or whatever it was.
Right.
I don't know the ins and outs so well of my original Sony Discman that I had plugged into my aux of my Alpine stereo, which went with me from car to car. That was that was state of the art to me.
Yeah.
But so you had a CD player back in the 80s when CDs were brand spanking new. You were, trying to get the latest equipment at least to make sure that you were sounding right. You had the tape to tape so you could make a mixtape for people.
Yep, you know it. And then we'd borrow the school's equipment, which was a PV system, two PV-15s with horns, and then a mixer amp with the old rotary dial.
Oh yeah. I think I used that in '86 at the one of the first radio stations I was at, 88.5. It was in Fort Lauderdale. WKPX 88.5, the alternative radio station for the alternative you.
Right on. Right on.
School radio.
Of course.
So the DJing thing could parlay into other avenues, and you were playing trumpet in the band. What other things did you do with the band? Did you ever consider starting your own band, or where were you at?
Well, as far as the band, I was very active in that until I hit about 16. We were doing, of course, marching band.
Sure.
I made the high school marching band in 8th grade.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we did pep band, which was really cool. Same band director.
What's pep band?
Pep band.
Pep band.
Pep band. Yeah, we'd actually do halftime performances and stuff for the basketball team.
Yes.
And it was really cool because our band director, Bill Jean, represent. That guy's awesome. What he would do is he would poll the class, and we would all vote for a popular song at the time. Ours was, like Aha, Take On Me.
Best video ever made.
Right. Or,
in my humble opinion.
Bon Jovi, stuff like that.
Sure.
And what he would do is he would take home the tape and score it for our band.
Yeah.
And then we would play it.
Okay. So he was the band director, and he kind of arranged all the instruments for you?
Yes. Yeah. He would score and arrange everything for us, and then, bring us out for performances. And, yeah, he was just phenomenal.
How big was this band?
At our peak, we were probably looking at 120 plus.
That's a lot of members to lay out.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you're playing trumpet. How many trumpets in this thing?
Oh, I would say we probably had 8 to 10.
Wow. All right. And this is your pep band?
Pep band.
And the marching band, how big was that?
About the same size. Most of the band members stayed through pep band, marching band, and concert band.
Oh, and concert band. Okay. So when was the first concert you played with a band?
Oh, shoot.
If you remember.
Well, we did school concerts, but we made a all-region team, and that's where they brought in folks from all different schools, so it would be the top 3 of each instrument. Yeah. And I was first chair for trumpet.
What?
Yeah.
He's not bragging. That's cool.
Well, I'm not bragging, but...
No, that's cool. That's cool as can be, man.
But the first note, you can see I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it.
Glory days, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't thought about this stuff in 25, 30 years.
That's why we're here, Jerry Jarvis, Alpha One Entertainment.
Pulling out of me, Dan the Man.
That's right. This is your life, man. This is your podcast. You can share it with your friends and let people know how you started. Where did this all begin? How did Jerry Jarvis, Alpha One Entertainment, get here to Pottsville, Arkansas? So All right, you started in Chicago, Illinois. That's a great music town to start in.
Bet.
I mean, you graduated high school in Chicago as
Yep.
well, or in that area?
Yep.
So, as a young man in Chicago, yeah, you got all this band and these instruments in your pocket. You're playing gigs already as a DJ. I like to remember my first paid gig. What was your first paid gig?
My first paid gig, well, it was my old track coach. He actually ran a multi-operator unit.
Yes.
I just turned 16, and I went to a cousin of mine's wedding. I didn't necessarily want to go,
Right.
Because you're 16.
Yeah.
It seemed kind of square, and I looked over and I saw the equipment. And
Yes.
every DJ or every gearhead, immediately you're going to make a beeline to the gear.
Okay.
So I look over there, and I'm used to turntables and records, and you got to carry them by the stack.
Sure.
And I noticed that they're like Panasonic Professional VHS.
Yes.
3 of them.
Okay.
I'm like, what is this? And I see a couple of video screens and the switch, and
Yes.
I'm like looking around, and then in comes my coach, Freddie.
Right.
I'm like, dude, you got to check this stuff out. He's like, this is mine.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, what? So we sit there, we talk shop, you know how it goes.
Oh yeah.
He's like, all right, well, I got this gig tonight. He's like, I want you to come with me. It was about half hour, 45 minutes away.
Uh-huh.
Of course, I got to go clear it with moms and pops.
Sure.
They say, okay, so I drive out there to this place called Doyle's.
Okay.
It's a lounge in a hotel. I don't even know if it exists anymore. It's called the Chancellor. But what they had was a residency there.
Yes.
Big old Aquastar projector, 6 foot by 9 foot screen at the edge of the dance floor, lights,
Yes.
and then once again, there are those production level VHSs
Yes.
with a huge rack of everything that you can imagine.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you ever heard of like promo only and stuff, of course.
Oh yeah.
Well, before that, it was Wolfram.
Remember? Yes.
Yep. So that's what all this stuff was from, and I'm looking, and of course I'm dizzy. I'm like, look at all this music, look at this gear,
Right.
And that night he puts me on the decks,
Sure.
and we lit it off. And this is 1991,
Oh yeah.
and I got $50.
Yeah.
When I went home, I was dancing in my bed, and I closed my eyes. I could see the lights and the people dancing. I'm like, this is it.
Yeah.
Within the next week or so, I was doing 3 nights a week. Wednesday night, Friday and Saturday.
Man, 91, MTV was still playing music videos. You were an MTV music DJ out in the club, that style DJ out in the club.
Yep.
I remember 89. 89 was the year that I think I started doing video DJing at that time as well. Because previous to that, it was an MC and a DJ. And it was a 2-man team for the most part.
Yep.
I had MCJ, and then I was DJ, dancing Danny G back then. yeah. All right, don't spread that around. Oh, I think I just spread it around.
Whoopsie.
But and you had somebody to work the turntables, and then somebody to work the crowd, and occasionally we would change hats, and I would be the MC, and then he would be the DJ, and that was fun.
Right.
So, did you ever work events where you had 2-man, or was it always a 1-man crew?
Oh, we would do 2-man, sometimes 3, depending on the gig.
Sure.
Because they had 2 residencies and 3 mobile.
Yes.
So we would kind of jump off and do different parts. We would do, university alumni.
Yes.
And I mean, that's where we're planting 3 Aquastars. It takes 2 days to set up.
What?
Yeah. I mean, I met, Walter Payton.
Oh yeah.
All those guys, and it was kind of funny because I'm not really a sports fanatic. I'm a music guy.
Right.
When I met him, I'll be honest, I didn't know who he was.
Oh yeah.
I thought he was just a nice guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm from the Florida Keys. A lot of people go down there on vacation. A lot of destination weddings happen in the Florida Keys.
Oh, yeah.
So I got to do hundreds a year.
Right.
For a while, the Cleveland Browns would come down one by one and get married, and I was their official DJ.
Nice.
So I had their kicker and I can't even remember their names. Richardson maybe was one of them. But anyway, Cleveland Browns kept coming down, maybe once every year or twice a year, and we'd party. Now, the thing is, I don't know if you've had this with athletes and people that have high testosterone. The party was supposed to end at midnight. Here's a couple more bucks. No, we'll go to 1. Here's a couple more bucks. We'll go to 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
I gotta go. It's Sunday morning. The sun's coming up.
That's why I'd go out wearing shades on my head. Yeah.
All right. And did you have that with athletes, I guess?
Oh, with athletes, with local personalities. You would have radio folks that, after the gig shut down, you'd go to after hours.
Oh, yeah.
And, you would walk in their living room, and it was basically set up like a studio.
Sure.
And flick of a switch is back on.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, those, different times.
Well, being a resident, even if the club would close at 2, they'd send the regular folk out, and then after hours it would be just staff.
Yeah.
And maybe even other restaurants would come by, and we'd have the after hours party just to unwind. And
oh, yeah.
Yeah, that happens a lot. That's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, South Florida, a lot of stars down there.
Right
a lot of stars. But Chicago, got to be a lot of stars there as well. Big town.
Oh yeah, and it's not just the ones that you know too, but it's the local folks.
Yes.
Because somebody could be the A1 chef of this particular restaurant, or their wait staff. All working professionals, and there's nothing better, man, than when you just get basically the keys to the kingdom.
Yes.
And you can freewheel it. You don't have to worry about staying in a certain format.
Right.
And
so, all right,
wow.
What was your favorite go-to? If you're starting a party that nobody ever planned, where do you start? Play something good.
Oh boy, that's a classic.
Isn't that a great one?
Yeah, play something good. Well, to you or me.
Yeah.
A big part of it is, know your audience,
Sure.
right? And you get a pretty good feel, especially from being around these folks, working with them, because after all, we're service staff as well, right?
Of course, yes.
Yeah, so you know these folks, and you know their interests, and you read their body language, because even when you're playing that bubblegum stuff, you look around, you read the crowd, you see if somebody's tapping their toe or bobbing their head, singing along.
Right.
But things I'd like to do, well, gosh, I haven't thought about this in a long time.
Please.
I would never come in with a set playlist.
Never.
Even to this day.
Absolutely. Never.
And I wouldn't
unless it's a wedding and they picked out the music.
Right.
You have that in the file.
I'll have it as a crate.
Right.
But it's not in any particular order.
Right.
And I'm that way to this very day.
Sure.
And left to my own devices, I still kick it back. Man, Rob Bass, dude.
Yes.
Yeah.
Early 90s, late 80s. Sure.
Oh, yeah. And, you could kick Sugar Hill and stuff like that. I know it's a little different, but, the message, with Grandmaster Flash.
Come on, man. You can recite every word, of course, every
message,
lyric.
The message.
And most anybody at any party could, of a certain age, could recite every word of those, every lyric.
Yeah. And honestly, I drop the message because you really cannot get people's attention quicker than dropping that first note.
Yeah.
And you feel it come out the system.
It's got a good bass line.
Ba-da-bum.
For sure, man. Got a great bass line.
Yeah.
That one, and Eric B. and Rakim.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Throw some of that in there, and for sure.
Even New Shoes.
Oh, my goodness. 1986 was my grad night, and New Shoes was playing at that grad night. This is in Disney World. This is where our grad night was. So, yes. And years later, I got a chance to meet up with them. And I said, did you ever remember 1986 you played for our grad night? And he goes, oh, I remember that gig. We lost our bags on that one. I was like, all right. This is years later. I'm talking to them on the radio, and they had a show in Miami that they were playing. Ooh, this has got to be 2000 maybe, but yeah, New Shoes. I can't wait. Little things pop up into my head. Let's see the goosebumps.
Yeah, that's what I call the tune tester, man.
Well, that's what these are. These podcasts, I never know where they're going to go, and I'm always happy to converse with people, and it's good to talk to people. It is. Don't be in your phones all the time. I'm talking to the kids now.
Oh, they know that very well.
Yes, it's good to chit chat. That's good. That's cool.
Until we're 14.
That's excellent. Go outside and play. Play with your friends, and that's a good thing. They're good kids. I can tell. They've been quiet this whole time. You may not know it, but we've had these two young folks right here hanging out with us on this podcast with Jerry Jarvis of the Alpha One Entertainment. They're good, man.
Well, thank you very much.
Oh, you're doing a good job.
They take after their mother.
Okay, yeah, and I haven't heard a peep from Mom. I know she's around here somewhere.
Yeah, she's busy working.
Okay, and so, all right, we're still in Chicago, and you're still a young man trying to get out of Chicago. What are you doing after high school in Chicago?
Well, right after high school, I made the leap into the Navy.
In the Navy.
Would you like a glass of iced tea?
No, thanks. Did you train in Great Lakes, Illinois?
No, you had it right the first time. Great Mistakes. No, actually, I was one of the lucky ones. I actually went out to San Diego, California.
Come on, wait a minute. I thought east of the Mississippi you went to Great Mistakes, and then west of the Mississippi you went to San Diego. Well, you were one of the lucky ones, one of the few.
Yeah, because my A school or my specialty was military GPS or global positioning systems.
Yes.
That A school was also out in San Diego, so they just did a twofer.
Excellent, man.
Yeah.
So how long did you spend in San Diego?
I was out there for a little over a year.
Yes.
And then it was an eye-opener.
Okay.
And it was really funny because from the time I was like 13 or something, I was like, I'm going to California.
Yeah, I like San Diego. I've done some parties out there.
Yeah, and it was really cool. You know, did a lot of hanging out on the free time, you know, downtown and checking out a few of the clubs that we could get into. Still underage.
Right.
But yeah, and that's where I was really kind of turned on to electronic dance music for the first time.
Hey, dig it. This has got to be 90. When did you graduate high school?
1993.
93 you graduated high school?
Yep.
Wow. Okay. And you're saying that 89 you started because that was your first paid gig.
Yep.
Yeah, that's where I say 86 is where I started because that's the first time somebody had paid me actual money, and it was also $50, and it was a wedding as well. 1986. So 1993, you're in California, San Diego, in the Navy, doing some clubs. Electronic music is in your head, and then what?
And then I was transferred out to the East Coast. I ended up out in Virginia Beach, Virginia. And that was kind of one of the big stops on what I call the Bermuda Triangle of EDM and the Southeast Coast EDM scene.
So this is still with the Navy?
Yes, still with the Navy.
Okay. Had you started a family by this time, or are you still a young single man?
Young single man.
All right. And I tell people in their 20s, do everything you want to do in your 20s, because by the time you're 30, you got to start settling down.
Words of wisdom.
Yes. Fall down as much as you want in your 20s, because you're made of rubber. You can bounce back.
Yeah, plus you have the time.
Yes. All right.
And the energy.
So good. You were seeing the country, at least. Did you get out of the country with the Navy?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, cool. Did you get on a boat?
Yeah, we were on a ship.
What? They put you on a ship?
Yeah, they put me on a ship out in Virginia Beach. We did a lot of CD ops down in the Gulf and across through the Panama Canal and South Pacific, and then we went over and did a, med cruise, or where we did through the Mediterranean. Yeah. This was the original Gulf War time and Bosnia conflict.
Okay, did you get involved in any of that?
Not
a little bit on the fringes.
On the fringes.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad you didn't have to go into battle. That's the hard, man. I wish people wouldn't fight. You know? Yeah,
me too.
You know,
peace, love, unity, respect.
Yes, I like that. That's a good EDM saying there.
Right.
So and so it wasn't just a job; it was an adventure. You did get to see some of the world and meet some new types of people. What was your impressions? What was your favorite part of it?
Honestly, the people. Always been a people person, and even through the military and then civilian travel, because I traveled the globe as well with semiconductor.
Hey, dig it.
I found that fundamentally, anywhere you go, people are the same.
Yeah.
We have the basic needs, food, clothing, shelter.
Right.
But also you run into the same types of people no matter where they live, what language they speak. You're going to have your extroverts, your introverts, and everything in between.
Yeah.
And you're going to run into those familiar friends that over and over again, that you've known your whole life, and it's just really, really cool.
Yeah, I find that people all over, whether you're on the left or the right or any race or any color, any creed, you want the same things. We're more the same than anything else. We want our kids to be happy and fed, and we want roof over our head. We want food every day.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you want to live life. You want to, not just work to live. You want to work, or you want to be able to experience things, and everybody does.
Yes.
So we have much more in common. Just like you said, we have much more in common than we do not.
Yeah, all you got to do is chit chat with people.
Yeah.
And man, I know I said this a couple of podcasts ago, but agree to disagree. I don't like agree to disagree. Just have a conversation with people, and find some common ground, because you're going to find it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I call it the theory of the open hand. Especially,
okay. Sounds like a karate thing.
Yeah, kind of. When you're the weird foreign guy, in a new land. So go there with an open mind.
Sure.
And, be respectful. Learn a few basic sayings or words.
Yes.
Please, thank you. Where's the toilet?
Yes.
How much? Beer, please. Things like that. And just by you making that effort is going to be really endearing to those folks, and they're going to want to help you.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you got some of that in Chicago. That's a pretty big tourist town. I got a lot of that in Miami and South Florida. Got to say hello and goodbye in several different languages.
Oh, yeah, you bet.
Yeah, so if you're anything in the service industry, you're going to meet different kinds of people. So you're in Virginia, primarily stationed out there. Where do you go from there? Jerry Jarvis, Alpha One Entertainment.
Well, out of there, I was recruited by a civilian semiconductor agency. They made ion implanters, and they were stationed north of Boston. It's what we kind of jokingly refer to as Silicon Valley East.
Okay.
That's where Raytheon and a bunch of different companies are located.
Sure.
128 North represent.
Yeah.
Up north of Boston.
Yeah, and you picked up a little bit of the accent, although you probably had a Chicago accent as well.
Yeah, well, by the time I was there, I had kind of a muddy mutt accent from being Midwest, East Coast, West Coast, and of course down south. Picked up a little bit of y'all and
all right,
and that even right there in Virginia. So it was kind of a little bit of a muddied accent, I believe.
All right. So in your formative years, you kind of muddied that up a little bit. I guess you did spend your whole young life in the Chicago area, but you've been all over this world in one way or another. So you got recruited by this company, and then what happened?
Well, basically, I worked my way through the ranks. I started out in assembly and ended up being a field service engineer for them, where we'd actually fly out to customer sites, install and test the equipment for our customers.
Semiconductors.
Yeah, and that's, like Intel, Motorola, Texas Instruments, Samsung, and many, many more.
Dig it. All right. So where do we go from here?
Well, gosh.
Are you still DJing at all at this point? Or do you have some equipment?
Yeah, had some equipment. I'd actually pieced together, some mixed bag equipment. Had a couple of course, Techniques 1200s.
Sure.
Picked up a Roland DJ 2000 professional mixer because I could finally afford it.
Right.
Because, back when we started, they barely made anything consumer level for DJs.
Yeah, I can't remember what the mixer the mixer that I had between the two turntables. I can't remember. Started with a D, maybe. I don't know.
It was probably like a Gemini.
That was it.
525.
That was it.
Yeah, that's a standard. But back in the 80s and early 90s, you had to piecemeal stuff together that was pretty much built for PA systems for bands and vocalists and stuff like that.
Right.
Always hitting Radio Shack. that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
But
Radio Shack's my toy store.
Oh yeah.
They might as well pay me in Radio Shack bucks.
Yeah,
back in those days.
Yeah, because
and then Guitar Center came out. Forget it. They took the rest of my income.
Yep, Guitar Center. That's where I picked up my first set of JBLs. They were the self-powered Eons.
Okay.
Yeah, 15s.
Yeah, I had this Yamaha SW or SV 115. I think those were my first, the first ones that I owned. I rented a few times before that, but the first gig that I did, I rented some equipment for about $70 and got paid $50. I still had a great time. It was wonderful.
Oh yeah, that's a classic story. Matter of fact, the whole time I was DJing, I'd take whatever I made, and I'd be in the record store the next day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for the kids out there, that was a place where you went to get music.
Yes. In fact, in high school, we had our hangout was McSugar's in Fort Lauderdale. We had McSugar's that was a combination video game parlor and had snacks and pizzas and stuff like that. Right next door was the record store. So whenever I parked my car, before that I had a motorcycle. But when I parked my car, I had a Mustang. It wasn't a 5.0, it was like a 6-cylinder. But the record store owner knew who I was. He goes, "Hey, what's up, Dan? Hey, I got some new stuff over here. Come on in." Saw me coming.
Right on.
So I had the choice of either spending on video games or the record store, or behind there was also the movie theater. So I was usually in the record store spending all my money, all my income, from Swenson's ice cream parlor.
Right on.
Yes.
Right on.
So yes, that's what happens. Is when you become a professional disc jockey, you spend the majority of your money putting it back into the business, so that way you get the good equipment. And now that you're a family man, you have your day job, your job that takes care of your family or the needs, I'm guessing, and then the DJ job, extra cheese maybe.
Yeah. Honestly, it's never been about the money. It's more of passion.
Sure.
The appreciation and, I guess you can call it the nod.
Yeah.
That one guest or client that comes up to you and they've just had the most awesome time that they never realized that they could.
Right.
And they just shake your hand and say thanks, and they kind of give you that nod.
Right.
And it's like, that to me, that's all the payment in the world, brother.
Hey, you're spending time with people on their best days, on their most important days, and they've come to be happy. They've come to have a good time.
Right.
And you're there to help provide that good time, Jerry Jarvis, Alpha One Entertainment. And, happy to, you get, okay, the one that sticks out in my head the last 2 months was the husband that came up to me. He just got married, husband and wife. And the husband come up to me and says, "Man, I was telling my now wife that I didn't think we needed a DJ, but I'm so glad we got one because you were awesome." Isn't that a great feeling? And you come home just floating on that high, don't you?
Yeah, that's a huge compliment.
Yeah. And if they give you the green handshake, that's a whole nother story. Here you go. Have an extra couple bucks there. That happens, and that's extra. That's extra special. But yes, talking with Jerry Jarvis, man, hanging out at his house, going through his life a little bit, finding out more about JJ. What were your nicknames growing up?
Well, several different nicknames that I'm not going to mention, but everybody that knows me, even to this day, calls me JR.
JR.
Yep.
Okay. And then the boy put his hand in the air. Is that another JR?
That's another JR. I'm Jerry Ross, and he's Jack Robert.
Dig it.
Jack Jarvis.
Okay, now that Iron Man came out, are you happy with the Jarvis character?
Yeah, I think that's cool. Yeah.
They just call out your name. In fact, you could take those little sound bites and use them at your parties. Jarvis. Okay, so you're doing semiconductors. That's the Joe job for right now. What year are you getting out of that and getting into something else?
Well, the story's kind of mixed.
Go ahead, mix it up.
About 99, I ran into this guy. He was a colleague. He was a new hire up there. I already been in-house for a while, and he was from Russellville, Arkansas.
Hey, all right.
And
Pretty close to where we're at.
Yeah. And he's actually fundamentally the reason why I came here.
Okay.
Right around the 2002, 2003 time frame, he'd already moved back in 2000. He took a job here at Arkansas Nuclear One.
Yes.
And he kept telling me, hey, you need to come down here. We kept in contact, and we used the phone as a telephone. So we talked to each other. And I'm like, hey, man, I don't even fly over Arkansas. I'm going transcontinental and then, all places east and west.
Right.
And I guess it was the winter of 2003. I'm like, you know what? Things were going to get a little hectic up in the Northeast, and I needed a break. So I took a little 8-day vacation and flew down here to Little Rock.
Okay.
And
at this point, where were you living?
I was living north of Boston.
North of Boston, okay.
Yeah, up in Gloucester.
Okay. And then you got to Little Rock.
Yeah, got to Little Rock, and honestly, the airport was so small, and when you travel a lot, you kind of get a feel. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
When you pull into a new town or into a new venue, a new whatever, you kind of get that vibe.
Sure.
And there I go, I'm getting chills again.
Get it.
When I flew into Little Rock, it felt like I came home.
Hey.
Word.
So you were digging that town. You got to Little Rock and you had a good feeling.
It was actually, we were still taxiing to the gate when I got that feeling.
Yeah.
And then this was, he met me just outside the gate and took me over here to Russellville, and I spent the next 8 days and 7 nights. We had a huge bonfire. We went out on dirt roads, which I wasn't accustomed to. And in that time frame, I met more real people than I did in the previous decade.
Okay.
It just felt so warm, so welcoming. Maybe it's a little cliche, but that's Southern hospitality.
Okay.
But I felt this is the place.
Okay, so you had a certain thing in Boston, a certain feeling in Boston. How were the people different in Little Rock as far as that, or even Russellville, for that matter?
Well,
northern people versus southern people.
Well,
this could be polarizing. I don't know.
I'm not going to denigrate or anything.
Right.
There's different cultural differences where you go.
Sure.
Up in the Northeast, the winters are long.
It's cold.
And it's cold,
yeah.
Especially where I was. I was right on the harbor, so it was nothing, to be minus 17.
It's got to affect people some way.
Yeah, and it wouldn't even break 55 until after April.
Yay.
Yeah, they joke about it, it's like 2 weeks of summer.
Right.
When I flew down here, it was minus 17 in Boston.
Sure.
It was 45 degrees here.
Right.
I'm running around in a t-shirt. Everybody looks at me like I'm crazy. I was like, this is springtime.
Yeah, to us it's freezing out here, And,
right.
Now you're likening, when I lived in Miami, and then my grandparents and my mom and dad lived in Key Largo. When I moved to Key Largo, it was that feeling, where you start to slow down, your blood pressure drops, you feel like you're going home.
Yeah.
So I love Miami. That's a big city. There's a lot of people, hustle and bustle. And if you're a working DJ, you got plenty of people to go entertain and clubs to go play at, and being a resident and what have you, and video DJing, that was, that's always fun. And you're still a video DJ at this point.
Yes.
Yeah. And do you strictly, as often as you can? I know there's a few songs you can't get videos to, but for the most part, I like to put a good music video up there.
Yeah, it's been video DJ for 3 decades.
Right.
And I'll tell you honestly, the newer videos, it's a challenge because even though you have a super clean version where there's no curse words, the video itself.
Oh yeah.
So that's when you throw up, just ambient graphics and things like that.
Right. I always, especially for brides, I'll make a logo for them, and I'll put that up on the screen.
Yeah.
And if I'm using the video projector, I'll put it up on the projection system as well.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I usually bring a couple of screens if they don't have a lot of room for a projector. So But yeah,
Yeah.
video DJing. So, all right, you made it to Little Rock, and you got your first impressions were, yeah, I'm home. And what year is this?
2004.
2004. So that's an 8-day vacation. How long till you actually make the plunge and move out here?
Well, actually, I made the decision on my way back to Boston. The very next working day, I quit my job and started packing a U-Haul.
Would you stop? And then you started working over at the nuclear plant?
I didn't have a job or nothing.
No job.
No job.
That's something that somebody in their 20s can do.
Yep.
When they don't have their family yet. And that's why I'm saying, in your 20s, go.
Yep.
Be all you can be. Wait, no, that's not it. It's not just a job, it's an adventure.
Adventure is out there.
I forgot, I'm talking to a Navy man, not an Army man. So, yes, so you get to Russellville, the Russellville area. What happened?
Yeah, picked up a rental, and within like literally 7 days, I had a job working out at the nuclear plant.
There you go.
In a computer support group.
There you go. If you want it, you can have it. You know,
Yeah.
if you need a job, you go get a job.
Yeah.
And you got a job, and you're working. I guess that's an entry-level position at the nuclear plant, or
Yes.
and you work your way up.
Worked my way up. Technically speaking, worked my way out of a job. Worked my way into another job.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and that's just how I've always rolled with, no matter what you do, you just do your best and do you.
All right, and then all through that, you're doing the DJ thing as well with Alpha One Entertainment, Jerry Jarvis, and okay, so you get to Russellville, 2004, okay, and you start doing some gigs. What do you do to get yourself out there?
Well, that's kind of funny. I had a rental house. My whole living room was basically a DJ setup. I had the 15 set up and a little 20-inch TV.
Sure.
I had cut cable TV like years before.
Right.
I don't really watch a lot of TV, of course, but and that's what it was. You walk into my living room, it was basically walking into a DJ booth with a couch and a couple of chairs and stuff. And
You have a lot of friends come over and do little house parties, maybe, or apartment parties.
Yeah, did a lot of little house parties there. I was kind of in the suburbs. Had the 5-0 called a couple times.
Why wouldn't you? It's not a good party until the cops come.
Right.
And I tell them to bring some more drinks.
Yep. Yeah. Just don't get lippy or. At the time, when I get tired, even now,
What city is this? Is this Russellville?
This is Russellville.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Even now, when I get tired, or back when I drank, if you get a little tipsy, the New Englandy accent would kind of come out a little bit.
Ah, Yankee.
Yeah, they don't like that.
We don't take kindly to them down here.
That's correct. But
I guess I'm a Yankee from Miami. That's what they always call me because it's the biggest suburb of New York down there. Yeah,
true.
Yeah,
true.
The wine that people ask for in New York is, I want to go to Florida.
Yeah. All 5 boroughs represent.
Correct. So, house parties. That's how you get your taste.
Yeah, that's how I get a kind of flavor for it. And of course, country had never been my forte, or really, hit the radar.
Sure.
And the more I get hanging out with the locals and talking to them and stuff, I start doing house parties for my friends and colleagues.
Yeah.
And at this time, we really hadn't, hung up the tile and said, okay, we're in business.
Right.
So I did a couple of weddings for friends and that, and finally, about six and a half years ago, we decided to make the leap.
Okay.
We went digital.
Yes.
Because before then, I'm rocking CD players, DVD players, and turntables.
Right.
Humping tons of gear.
Correct.
Had these Roland Odyssey cases that'll carry about 200 vinyl.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But, that was the big thing, is they had to give a request. It's like, I have it, but not with me.
Right.
Well, now with digital,
You got everything.
everything.
If you got Wi-Fi, you buy it right there.
Yeah, the technology, holy cow. And honestly, it was unnerving for me. It was the hardest thing for me to do. It was like jumping off a cliff.
I understand. 99, I gave up my turntables, and I started going to. I did one party with CDs, and even that was too much. I had the MP3 sitting right there. Now, there really wasn't a good program. I think Atomics was, or Atomics, was a program that was just starting out to where you can go one to the other, but there wasn't a controller for that yet that was any good. So I was using a mouse going back and forth, and that worked pretty well. But and then the videos came out, and the rest, there was no reason to go back to records. And I see in your garage you have plenty of records still and lots of CDs. I have some, I have one record left because I've lost all my vinyl over the years.
Oh,
in various
that's a tragedy.
I have one record. What is it? Jimi Hendrix. It's Experience. It's the last record that I have. And I don't know why it stayed with me, but it did. It stayed with me. I have one record left. And no need to buy any others because it is all digital. And if you want to keep up with the kids, you got to stay digital, right?
Right. I remember this one gig, I was still using the turntables, and you know how oftentimes when parents come in there with their young children,
sure,
where's the first place the kids go? DJ booth. So you're basically playing babysitter while you're working.
Oh yeah.
And I pull out a vinyl, and a lot of times you flip it around, you're looking at A side, B side, trying to find the track.
Right.
And this kid looks at me, his eyes are big as sausage. He's like, wow, that's the biggest CD I've ever seen.
Well, with all the bright lights that you have up there, you're still playing babysitter quite a bit of times.
Oh, yes.
The kids are looking at the bright lights and the scrims and look at all those lights. I got
pushing on your scrims.
I want to touch stuff.
Yep. Yeah. That's why it's always good to have an extra set of eyes in here, just kind of play, they get that Heisman pose kick.
I think I saw a meme like that. Yeah, I'll play your I'm not playing your request. And yes, we're for the people. We do play your requests as long as the bride's okay with it.
That's right. She's number one client.
You got that right.
Now, I'll never come out and tell a client or a guest no.
Right.
I'll say it in my own way.
Yeah, see what I can do.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do. I'll try. That means no.
Yeah, well, let me. Yeah.
Because to me, there's no such thing as try. That you do or you don't.
Correct.
But
that's what Yoda taught us.
That'll satisfy, especially if they're having a good time and you're playing a good mix. You say, "I'll try," or "I'll see what I can do." Well, 5-10 minutes later, they forgot about it.
Right. What's the answer to play something good?
I'm on it.
My answer to play something good is, hey, what's your favorite song?
Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah, but I did have one 2 weeks ago, and it was the cousin, and she kept asking me to play something good, and I said, well, the dance floor is full. And what would you like to hear? What's your favorite song?
Yeah, what do you have in mind?
She said, it's not my job.
Ooh.
You're getting paid to be here.
Oh.
And I said, well, I'm playing everything off of the bride's playlist, and these are things. And if you see, the bride's right there. She's having a good time. And go ahead, that's your cousin. It's a struggle sometimes, play something good. You're going to have that one.
Oh, yeah.
Play something good.
Yeah, or play anything but this.
Play anything but this. And what's your favorite song?
Yeah, Smile.
Give me one.
Yeah, that's why we keep a request list with a pen right there at the booth.
I went completely paperless. In fact, when at karaoke shows, which I'll have one coming up at the old post, I'll have people either text me or tell me.
Sweet.
Text me or tell me. No paper. It helps the environment. Yay.
Oh, that's nice. I'm still kind of caught in the old ways, a little bit old school.
Hey, man, we're getting to a certain age. I'm a little bit older than you, but I'm trying to keep up with the kids. These kids today.
Yeah, these darn kids.
I love them. They're the future. So tell me more. Let's dig deeper into Jerry Jarvis. You're DJing. You're doing house parties in Russellville. And when does the family start?
Well, the family started actually 12 years ago.
12 years ago.
Well, Crystal and I met 14 years ago.
How'd that happen?
We actually met at work.
She's a nuclear as well?
She was at the time.
Cool.
Yep. And I'd actually met her mother. Her mother was a traveling technician, and we'd become friends. And it's a funny story.
What does a traveling technician do?
They go from nuclear facility from site to site.
Oh, for the nuclear. Okay.
Yeah, for outage support.
Okay, and then.
Yeah. and that's what her mother was doing. And I recognized Crystal, my wife, because she looked kind of like a younger version of her mother.
Oh.
But she had this giant rock on her left hand.
Uh-oh.
So I never talked to her, I never approached her, but I just noticed her.
Right.
Well, one night when her mother and I were talking, she's like, well, you absolutely have to meet my daughter. I was like, well, she's taken. She's like, oh, no. That right there, that's just a...
keep away stone.
Yeah. So immediately we walked over to where she was working. I introduced myself. I gave her about a 2-hour interview, and the rest is history.
She got the job.
She got the... Well... Yeah.
She got the job as Mrs. Jarvis.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. So, wedding. Since we're talking about wedding DJs, how was the ceremony? Did you get a big wedding or a little wedding?
Well, that's kind of ironic, us being in the wedding business, making people's special day memorable.
Sure.
We actually went to the courthouse.
Hey.
We kept it simple.
Yeah.
All of our family is from out of state, mine as well.
Sure.
Mine's in Illinois, hers was up in Pennsylvania. So we just kept it short and sweet, and yeah.
How did a couple Yankees meet each other in Russellville, Arkansas? What's up with that?
Higher hands had something to do with that.
Ended up here in the South.
Yeah.
And then you had a couple kids, and when did you get this nice house?
We moved in here in 11, so 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were looking for a place. Our oldest was getting ready to start school, and we did a fair amount of research for the local school districts.
Cool.
And found that Pottsville had #1 ranking as far as the true data.
Yeah.
So that's where we started looking, and oddly enough, the whole reason why we bought this house was because of that stained glass window right there in the living room.
I like it.
Yeah, Crystal saw it. She's like, "Yeah, this is the house."
Yeah, it's amazing what turns you on or what sets you off when you're looking for a place to live.
Yeah.
And, why not? That's a beautiful stained glass little piece.
Yeah. A lot of old school craftsmanship. There's not a lick of any kind of drywall. This was before drywall, so this is all lath and plaster.
I see, it's plaster.
Yeah, that's why I tell the kids not to run in the house, because they hit the wall, it's going to hurt.
Oh, for sure.
It is solid.
So Pottsville School District represent. Good job. You found that they were the best. And I'm noticing that some of the artwork up here in the living room. You have the Beatles. Is that your favorite group?
Well, it didn't start out that way, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a huge Beatles head now.
Where'd you start?
There used to be this old thing called your guys are two types. They're either Elvis or the Beatles.
Right.
Because the Beatles, particularly, they started as a boy band, right? And,
yes.
And Elvis, he was the rebel, swagger.
Correct.
Lone wolf kind of dude. But anthology is what turned my mindset around. Have you ever heard the Beatles anthology?
I have, but you say Elvis, I always keep the key to the Heartbreak Hotel. that place burned down, but I stayed in room 223.
I knew you were an Elvis dude. I can tell it. I can tell it. But yeah, that's actually with old LPs. They'd have inserts, and they'd also have photos.
I miss artwork. I do. I miss artwork, and that's something that the young people are not getting anymore with their music. It used to be you'd get an album, you'd take the cellophane off, you'd look at the front cover, wow, that's so beautiful, the back cover, open it up, you get a whole story and pictures.
Yeah, you would throw it on the turntable, A side, and lift the needle up, put it in the first groove, and start looking at the artwork.
That is correct.
Yeah.
It was an experience, listening to music. And I know kids are getting back into it. I just talked this morning to a lady at the studio downtown in Conway, Arkansas, and they have a brews and beats event once a month where they have record exchanges and record sales.
Where's this?
This is in the studio downtown in Conway, Arkansas. And I was talking to Kate Carnahan, and yeah, that's the podcast that I just put up. And probably the one just before the one you're going to be on. So
right on.
That you're on right now. So Beats and Brews down at the studio downtown. Yeah, check that out. They Exchange Records. And I know they're affiliated with, they do something with Palmer Music as well. They sell records at Palmer. They used to be Jack's music store in Conway. So I'm from Conway, or I'm living in Conway now, and Jerry Jarvis, hanging out in Pottsville still, Alpha One Entertainment. He could be your wedding DJ or your any event DJ. What's your, what do you get mostly as far as events?
Well, you know, especially this time of year, the bread and butter, weddings.
Wedding season!
Word. Yeah, but we do all types of events. My favorite, well, it's so hard to pick a favorite.
Right.
But getting to schools, that's a big plus.
Yeah.
And of course, here with ATU or Arkansas Tech, you know, doing the doing the school stuff there, and you get the sororities or the frat parties, the homecomings.
Yes.
And that gets really fun because it's you're working with a narrow band age group.
Sure.
So you can really,
you know what style of music they want. You want this.
You can really target it
Yes.
and hit it home. You know.
Oh yeah.
Whereas, you know, like a wedding, it's a peculiar animal.
6 to 60, you know, and beyond.
Yeah, you know, you have little kids all the way to grandma and grandpa, and you have all those different years and decades. So you know, you have to touch on that.
And then you have the bride's cousin saying, "Play something good."
Yeah. Well, also very unique about that gig. Event planners and stuff, you know, they're thinking about it for maybe a couple of months or a year in advance.
Sure.
Well, with a bride, they're thinking about it since they're a little girl, you know, so it could be decades, and they have an envision, and it's up to us to hit that or exceed that.
Right.
So that's what makes it real special, and really that's what draws me to it, you know, the interaction with the bride and seeing that look, and I call it the wow face.
Yeah.
You know, when they walk in for the first time and you can tell that you hit or exceeded because they see it and they feel it and they hear it and they're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Nice setup. Wow, it sounds good.
Yeah.
Turn it up. I love turn it up.
Oh, turn it
know,
up.
because I keep it down for the cocktails. I keep it down for the dinner.
Yep.
Turn it up. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah. What I like to do is to kind of, you know, take them on an adventure. You know, it's an experience. Every gig's an experience.
Of course.
But yeah, you're exactly right. Cocktail hour, dinner music, and then you kind of just slowly ramp up. And then you want to save your best for last, where you're really just, when you turn off the music and you hear them singing along still.
Oh, they're still going.
Yep.
They're still going.
There's the goosebumps again. You know what I mean?
And you come home and you're singing that last song, and that you know you sent them home with a good feeling, on a high.
Oh yeah, and you know, just about every event, doesn't matter what we're doing. You know, on the ride home, you know, I'm pumped.
Yes.
And then I get back, I unload all the gear. Well, you see me. You know, we have the third bay there is basically my production studio.
Correct.
So I'll take the gear that night. I don't care if I'm getting home at 2, 3, 4 in the morning. I'm setting the gear back up.
Yes.
I'm clicking it on. I'm putting the headphones on.
Dust it off. Make sure it's working for the next one.
Yeah. Or just, you know, cooling off. You know.
Still going.
Yeah, still going, because you're kind of riding I guess you would call it kind of a high. You know, it's an emotional.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's why we do it.
Totally worth it.
Yeah.
Totally worth it.
Every time, man.
Jerry Jarvis, Alpha One.
Represent.
And so, events, how far will you go? You're in Pottsville, Arkansas. How far will you go?
Well, we serve, you know, of course, the River Valley. We do anything from Little Rock all the way up to Fayetteville and down past Hot Springs.
Oh, yeah.
We don't really go too much further outside that service area, because then the logistics are a bit of a challenge for us.
Oh, yeah.
And we have the luxury to pick and choose, because this really isn't, you know, the bread and butter job. This is more of the passion.
Right.
So we like to keep it home base. We try to source as much as we can here locally. And I tell you what, we have some of the best clientele.
Yes.
From the time we sit down at that first consultation. Like even today, you know, the McElroys is their wedding anniversary.
Cool.
And, you know, we keep in contact with those folks even now.
Right.
You know, after the fact.
Right.
So it's more than just transaction, more than just a business deal. It's an experience followed by, a communication and friendship kind of thing.
Yeah, I have it set on my calendar, and with Facebook, it makes it so much easier.
Oh, totally.
You post a picture, and 2 years later, hey, these guys, remember that wedding you did?
Yep.
Yeah, I do. Then you repost it, happy anniversary.
Word.
And then they go, oh, man, you remembered. I go, yeah, Facebook remembered, and I remember too. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That was a good wedding.
Yep.
And you remember their day, and you remember what you did, because every one of these weddings, and okay, like the podcast, I've done quite a few podcasts, and every one of them, it's so special. I learned something different, and every wedding, I learned something different. I saw something different, and you want those days to be perfect for them, because, oh man, it's perfect for you. It's a good feeling that you get from them, right, Jerry?
Oh, absolutely. That is so totally true. Matter of fact, every experience, good or bad,
Right.
is an opportunity for learning.
Right.
Because, you have a very negative experience. Maybe you went under, you spent all your proceeds on new music or something like that.
Right.
But in that regard, you've paid for that lesson.
Yes.
So going forward, you can take actions. So all those experiences are an opportunity for us to learn and go and bring it all together,
Yeah. Now you say you just that you went full force into this just 6 years ago?
6.5 years ago.
6.5 years ago.
Yeah.
And how so? And before that, you were doing a few parties here and there, and then now you pumped for it.
Yeah, we went legit. Before, it's kind of funny. I was in the techno scene and stuff. My DJ name was Tsunami. So
let's go over the nicknames, the DJ nicknames after a bit.
Yeah, my label was BWP for Big Wave Productions.
Okay.
And at the time, nobody knew what a tsunami was.
Sure.
But after, all the deals, I was like, well, probably just drop it back to just Jerry Jarvis. But one night, Crystal and I were talking out here on the back porch. We had the music going, and I was like, you know what? I think we should really just do this.
Yes.
And that's when we decided to make Alpha One Entertainment. And it's kind of silly because the phone book, it's alpha numeric.
Absolutely.
So instead of being A1 DJ,
Right.
the word alpha number 1, you'd be top in the search.
Sure.
So that's where we came up with Alpha One.
Smart. Good
Yeah.
business sense, man.
Yeah, and then
Did you incorporate too, or?
yeah, incorporate, got our
Yes.
licensed, insured. We got our own
Excellent,
tax ID, straight up.
Yep.
American DJ Association.
Yeah, I did that for a little while. Well, there wasn't much to it, but yeah, it seemed like it wasn't a good fit for me. But yeah, I'm all for it.
Yeah, and the reason why we did that is it's kind of like paying it back in and just really experiencing it and
Sure.
and going digital. So we picked up all the gear. I learned how to use it, and I'm learning how to use the gear before we even did our first gig.
That's the way you should be doing it. Practice.
Yeah, and what an eye opener, because I was terrified,
Sure.
because you lose that tangible feel
Right.
of whatever medium you have. You're looking at a little box and it's like, is it going to be there when I need it?
Correct.
And now I have a traveling archive of 190,000 songs.
Yes.
And then access to anything.
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 It's all out there. As long as you got Wi-Fi, you can buy it right there.
Yeah,
I got it.
which is so cool. Back in the day, if you didn't own it or have a friend that owned it and you had a mixtape or whatever,
Right.
you didn't hear it.
Right.
So like the DJ was the ambassador of cool,
Right.
because he had all the good stuff,
Oh, yeah.
And
Well, one of the things when I was working at a radio station, a college radio station, they would bring me the newest records.
Yep,
Here
yep.
you go. Here's the newest records.
Yep.
I would take those records and play them at a club that night. And they would, what is that? And I would rip the labels off.
there is no better feeling, man.
Oh, yeah. This is number B7. What is that? Who is that? Sounds like LL Cool J. It's something new. It's fresh. So
Yeah.
you keep
Yeah.
your beats.
Well, you look right in the center and say promo only or DJ, professional
Now you're ripping
DJs
the
only.
labels off so people aren't getting your beats.
Yeah, scribbling out with a Sharpie. Yeah.
Those are the early days. And then here we are. Here I could I could consider you competition, or I can consider you a colleague, and we're chit-chatting together. You know, there's room for everyone. And I want to tell that to all the DJs out there listening, is don't step on each other, man. You know, help each other out.
Yeah, there's enough to go around. That's a very good point, Dan. I don't consider other DJs competition.
Right.
And honestly, what I envision for the future is for DJs like you and I, and the other DJs, even the gonna-be DJs, to come together and network, talk shop. Because how often you get lost in the conversation with somebody that's not necessarily into it, and you're going to talk about gear or latest tracks or, you know, crowd reading techniques or whatever. Right. They just get that 1,000-yard stare. But you get talking to another DJ, you can go for days.
Oh, yeah. And that's you were talking about the American DJ Association and any other of those mobile beat type clubs where they have conventions, and it's just a bunch of DJs traveling together, chit-chatting, exchanging ideas, making the parties better. How can how can I make this party better? And should I be carrying that gear, or is this one better for me? You know, is this piece of equipment the right fit for me? Yeah.
And then really equipment, that's an excellent segue. You know, with the modern technology, you can keep it nice and simple and light.
Sure.
I don't know about you, but don't have any problem with blowing breakers as often.
Yes. I like my powered speakers. I'm using Mackeys now, and I'm thinking about switching over to the QSCs, the K12s, or even the 15s. But no, the 10s. I guess they're 10s and 12s. And those are supposed to be the best of the best of the best. They're a little pricey, but you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
And I noticed you had JBLs in there.
Yeah, that's actually my old setup. Right. We run entirely Bose now.
Bose.
Yeah, Bose L1 Model 2. It's portable line array system.
Yes.
Holy cow, dude.
I remember in college, and this is 86, 87, and we had a guy from Bose in a lab coat. He came out, and we're all in the auditorium, and we're looking at this big speaker. It's probably 6 feet tall, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, pow! And this guy comes out in a lab coat, and he pulls the cabinet away. It's this little cube speaker, maybe 6 inches by 6 inches.
Yeah.
And they taught us how the air travels through those little Bose speakers and makes that giant sound. You still get the same amount of air push, and you get it out of that little speaker.
Yeah.
How?
Yeah, well, they've just taken a lot of time and effort to engineer their stuff properly.
Yes.
So you get big sound out of a little component, and it doesn't draw as much power.
Correct.
Yeah. So like the sticks that we use, they draw 750 watts, and that's with a 7-foot tall line array that sends out nearly 180 degrees sound wave, and then two subs that you can feel. The crazy thing is, you and I can stand there right in front of the speaker and have the same conversation.
Yes.
And everything's clear. Then you go all the way to the back of the house, same clarity.
That's great.
It's a crowd cutter. You don't have that normal dispersion range of like 55 to 70 degrees like you would have.
And a regular speaker, a Mackie V2 or V3.
Yeah, JBL, PVs, serve them
Eons,
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've talked about a lot of things. And where's the future of Alpha One? What do you got going on? And do you do any public events where people can come by, or is it mostly private events?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We participated in a lot of local events. We do Hoops for Hearts. We like the American Heart Association around here. We'll do stuff over for the Pottsville School District, and we've even done stuff for Food for Kids downtown.
Yeah.
Downtown area, Russellville is really coming up.
Yes.
They're doing a lot of stuff around the depot. You know, they have the art walk and things. So you'll see us around. We love working with the local charities. You know, good people, good times for good causes.
Absolutely, man. You got to give back.
Yep.
I got a Coho event coming up on Saturday.
Right on.
For the City of Hope outreach. It helps the homeless.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Saturday.
Yeah.
Do one. You know.
Yeah. It's a good feeling, and it's really cool. You know, just to get out and mix it up with people that may not necessarily run into you otherwise.
Excellent, man. How do they find out about you online?
We have a website. We have, of course, the social media. Social media is actually more updated. Of course, it's real time.
Yes.
I have SoundCloud as well, Alpha One Entertainment on SoundCloud. Some of it is...
Okay.
Because I have a habit, Monday through Thursday when I'm getting ready for work, I'll wake up at 4:30 in the morning.
Sure.
I'll grab a cup of coffee, walk out to the third bay or shuffle out, flick on the system, and start spinning.
Okay.
So
So
I'll
on
do-
SoundCloud, are you making your own beats, or these are mixed tapes? I guess.
Mixtapes. I'm really not, into, making beats or production.
Okay.
But what I'll do is make different mixes, and it just depends on where the mood takes me.
Yeah.
Left to my own devices, I always kick it back old school.
Yes.
But practically, if it sounds good, I'll go ahead and hit record on the software.
Dig it.
And all the stuff that's on SoundCloud, it's live off the decks. There's no post-production or any kind of sync or anything like that. It's all raw right off the decks.
Yeah, I did that for the Monday or the midday mix on the radio station. We would feature different DJs in Miami on the radio, and I got to do that from time to time. Most of the time I was the morning show DJ, but if there wasn't anybody available for the midday mix, there I was on my turntables or whatever was available at the time.
That's totally cool, man.
It is totally cool, man. And sometimes I miss the warmth of the Technique 1200s, but the speed and the accuracy and the ability to get any song, anytime, on the spur of the moment, before they even sit down. Hey, can you play that Madonna song? Sure. Bam! Before they even got back to their table,
Yeah.
borderline. There you go.
No more shuffling through crates. It's right there.
It's right there.
Yeah.
And you've mixed it in, perfect beat matching. You can do it by ear, you can do it by sync if you have to, but do it by ear, old school DJs, you gotta do it by ear.
And I would recommend that to any DJ. Learn how to beat match by ear.
Sure.
I mean, that's just a fundamental.
Oh, man. When I went to a broadcast school, they taught us how to splice tape. Cut tape and splice it together to edit. You never have to do that ever again.
True.
But learn the fundamentals.
Yep.
And do you still play any instruments at all?
No, not really.
Okay. But with the trumpet, you learned how to read music.
Yep.
Learn the fundamentals.
Yep.
I've talked to a lot of musicians, a lot of guitarists, that they don't read music. And I think it would behoove them to learn. But they learn by tabs, and there's other ways to learn and get out on the road and get to work. But
Certainly.
it seems like you're squirming in your chair. You got some stuff to do?
Well, the kids have their MMA practice here in a little bit.
Oh, are you going to get beat up?
Not me. Not me.
Well, it seems like you're well-rounded in the kids. They got some extracurricular activities to do. Go get your MMA on, Mr. Jerry Jarvis, Alpha One Entertainment.
Represent.
I'll definitely put the links to your various things in the show notes. Let's see, I'll probably be able to put this up probably Saturday evening, because I have that event during the day with the Coho, and I'll put it up Saturday evening, man. I'll send you all the links.
Cool.
All right.
Well, man, I appreciate the
You got
opportunity. Yeah.
All right.
We can,
Jerry Jarvis.
Dan the man. We can, we could go on forever, couldn't we?
Oh, man, we can go forever and ever and ever. We did about an hour 20. That's a pretty good podcast, I think. Your voice was in there, Mr. Jack. All right, go do some MMA training. Don't hurt yourself. Any last words for the people, Jerry Jarvis?
Just thanks for the opportunity, and look for the commonalities. Look for what we have in common. Don't sweat the small stuff. Don't let things tear us apart, because after all, we're all human beings, and we're here, and we're here to have a good time. Let's live it up.
Thank you very much, Jerry Jarvis.
Represent.
Well, there you have it, party people. Jerry Jarvis, Alpha One Entertainment. Represent. That's the way he said it. Every time I said Alpha One Entertainment, you'll hear a little represent in the background. It's automatic. I love it. I love it. Promote. He's a brand. He's got some good equipment, and he showed me the backup equipment, and that was fly as can be. So it's nice to meet another DJ that cares about how his equipment looks and how it sounds, how he presents himself. He's a showman. He said he does some events that take 2 days to set up, and I don't know if I want to get back into those events where it takes a couple days. If it takes a few hours to set up, I'm okay with that. I'll come in early and set up the truss system and all the lights up on it and make sure that everything looks right. I have all the scrims covering up all the stands and make sure the DJ equipment has a nice booth on the front. But 2 days to set up something. I'd do it. Just because I like doing different types of events. And I see that Jerry Jarvis of Alpha One Entertainment, represent, he likes to do different events as well. And Crystal was hanging out there, Crystal Jarvis, and he has 2 ninjas. He had a couple ninjas that showed up towards the end of the podcast, and I was thrown back a little bit. They have MMA training, so good on you. The future of fighting. Well, the reason I guess you take martial arts is so you don't have to fight. People think, you can kick some butt, so nope, don't have to fight. Jerry Jarvis raising those kids right, and the house looks great. He said it was built in 1930. It looks great. It's all refinished on the inside for the most part. There's music everywhere. Every corner of the house you can hear some music playing. I was even in the restroom, and there was a little, oh my goodness, I can't remember. Altec Lansing speaker sitting on top over the facilities in the restroom. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Jerry Jarvis, it was nice to have a little chit chat with you, and I look forward to talking to you again. So if you need some DJ services in the River Valley area, Russellville and the like, and Pottsville, you call Jerry Jarvis. And if you can't get a hold of him, give me a call as well. That's it for this episode of What Makes You Famous. If you want to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call at 501-470-6386 or email info@radiowhat.com. It's Keys Dan, radiowhat.com, djlittlerock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.
Radio What? The music you want. Hey guys, this is Shelly G with a fast fact. Japanese company JVC introduced the VHS system in 1976. Do you have a fast fact? Share it with us at Interactive Radio, radiowhat.com.
Hey Keys Dan, what you doing?
My line.
I'm playing the best music by request 24 hours a day. Click on the request tab at the top of radiowhat.com.
radiowhat.com.